esteemed audience, we're always taking it a notch higher through informative and intellectual debates here on the Great Debaters Contest, only on KBC Channel 1. I am your host, Chris Boru.
And I am Esperanza Kapanga. As the search continues for the great debaters in Kisumu region, the motion in this debate today is use of torture to obtain information from suspected terrorists should be legalized.
While proposing this motion, we have Nyamira Girls High School.
And opposing the motion, we have Maranda High School.
Proposer number 1, you have 3 minutes to make a statement.
Now that's the voice that comes from one of the 276 girls kidnapped at Chibok in Nigeria. On stage is Onyango and Adhiambo from the Nyamira Girls High School, strongly proposing the motion that use of torture to obtain information from suspected terrorists should be legalized. What is torture? Torture is inflicting pain to somebody. And what is legalization? Enacting something to become a law. And who are terrorists? These are sophisticated, trained people who engage in militia activities. They end innocent lives. They destroy property. They rape our women, and they kidnap our children. In every war, information is a weapon. In a war against terror, where the adversary does not wear uniform and sits, rather hides among the civilian population, information can matter even more. How many of us remember 2nd April 2015, the Garissa attack? The Al-Shabaab militants barged in Garissa University, gunned down and managed to have killed 148 people. Among them, my one and only brother. May his soul rest in peace. And who remembers this? It's showtime. The beautiful of our elegant, sophisticated, and very beautiful radio presenter, Ruila Hadatia, who was, or rather, who succumbed due to the activities of terrorism on 23rd September 2013 during the Westgate attack. My people, beautiful ladies, handsome boys, and beautiful girls, sophisticated judges, they are hurting us. I love you. I know you love me twice as equal. And we love Kenya, we love Africa, and we love the world. Why do we let them hurt us and they go unpunished? They are going scot-free because we cannot obtain the information we need. So for that matter, because I know we are very intelligent, let us be pragmatic and for once stop being theoretical. And what is the pragmatic about? We have to come up with torture. If they're not willing to give us the information we need to put those criminals behind bars, we are going to get it. And how? Cut their fingernail one by one, and they will talk, and they will tell us who is responsible for that. It is so bad to see how we are succumbing and how we are becoming poor due to the activities of terrorism, and yet they walk scot-free. My people, think about it. Allow me to take my seat. Thank you.
First opposer, you have 3 minutes to present your case.
I am not only here to oppose, but as a faithful adherent and an ambassador of international law forbidding torture, I oppose the motion that states that use of torture to obtain information from suspected terrorists should be legalized. But first, let me bring you up to speed with these definitions. What is terrorism? Terrorism, this is international indiscriminate violence meant to create terror among masses of people. A fear created to achieve financial, political, or ideological aim. What is torture? Torture refers to causing somebody physical or mental pain in order to punish them or obtain information, as in this case we'll consider the latter use. Suspected terrorist, a person thought to be guilty of a crime or an offense, as in this case terrorism. An example of suspected terrorism, or examples, are Rashid Mohammed, Bashar Hussein, Adan Osman, as sourced from the Standard Media. Legalized, used to make legal by law. My reasons for opposition can be divided into two sorts of reason: a reason of principle and a reason of consequence. For the reason of principle is torture treats the victim as a thing, not a person, as a value of an associate, as a value associated with persons. According to Kenneth Robb, torture dehumanizes people, treating them as things manipulated through pain. This leaves them without all the aspects of humanism, destroys their mental setup, destroys their self-esteem in all ways. A reason of consequence is torture is an ineffective interrogative tool. It may as well produce false information, because under torture, a prisoner will eventually say anything to relieve from the pain. Consider someone who has been waterboarding, someone being suffered, poured water on their heads, will say anything to stop because it's killing him. But the information he gives, is the information reliable? Is the information able to help you? Can the information be false? Yes, it can. It can be false. The information can be false. The pain hurts him. The pain goes to his mind. The pain goes to his body. He gets hurt. You ask for the truth. He gives you a lie. What will you do? When will you do? Anything, anywhere. Because all the time you get a pain, a time you can reach, you can make anything stop. So in the article of the Constitution, according to the Geneva Conventions, torture is internationally law. With the international law, it is forbidden. This is something that we as Kenyans have also abound with. Unlike other countries like Syria, Russia, or China, who have reluctantly been obstinate to the torture. Anyway, as a Kenyan, we always say, twajivunia kuwa Mkenya. And I sing, Daima mimi Mkenya, mwananchi mzalendo. My name is Andy Onyango from Maranda High School. Thank you.
Second proposal, you have 3 minutes for cross-examination.
They say that under the sun, there are only two things that go together, and that is peace and war. When we use peace and it doesn't work, what do we opt for? We use war. Presenting is Prudence Rehema from the great school, Nyamira Girls. The use of torture to get information from these terrorists is the most effective way. I truly support that. It is the most effective, yes. Why? Even the president of the United States of America supports it. In his first interview, that is in the ABC channel, that was on 26th January, he said that torture is the most effective way of getting information from these terrorists. My dear friends, this is a game of fire by fire. You cannot use soft methods to get information from these people. You have to force this information from them. Using torture is the best. Why? It saves time and resources. Our country is facing a problem with debt. We have debt that runs up to 4.6 trillion. Where do you want to get this money to employ CIDs who will take a very long time to get information? This is a waste of time, and we are risking so many people. Osama bin Laden was the greatest and the most dangerous terrorist in the whole world. He brought terror even into our country. He even threatened the superpower country, that is the United States of America. Other methods other than torture were used. But how long did it take them to find Osama bin Laden? It took years and years and years, but they were never found. But getting one suspect in the reign of Obama, of the former president of the United States, Barack Obama, he only took 1 year by the use of torture, where a personal friend of Osama bin Laden, that is Abu Ahmed, a very good friend of him, the use of torture made him break the oaths that they make in those terror groups. The use of torture made him break that relationship of friendship that they had. And he had no choice. Because when you are cut off your legs to give an information, when somebody puts an axe in front of you, wanting to cut up your leg to get information, tell me who will want to be lame. Personally, I wouldn't want. And if I was a terrorist who is being forced to give out the information, I will give it out. And true, he had no option. He gave out the information that was needed from him. He had no choice. So, the use of torture is the best thing to use. We have used peace, but peace has not worked. My friends, let us be realistic. Save lives. Thank you.
Second opposer, you have 3 minutes for cross-examination.
Torture is a political act. And I repeat, torture is a political act. Torture is twofold, and this is from my research from Amnesty International, which claims that torture, the one reason for torture is to scare the general public, that is to consent to the behaviors of the regime, and second is to make the suspects, the terrorist suspects, to conform to the credibilities of the organizations. I would like to differ with my opponent when he said girls in Nigeria are being tortured. Yes, I do agree that girls in Nigeria are being tortured. And do you know the reason for being tortured in Nigeria? We are speaking about counterterrorism. According to the latest search by Al Jazeera, it is proven that countries like Nigeria and Syria that are using torture on the suspected terrorists have the highest levels of terrorism. Another good example is Iran, Afghanistan, and India. They range from 74% to 76%. And that is why we want to advocate for interrogation. We are not advocating for torture, because when a country uses torture, the counterterrorism that the terrorists use is more than the terrorism that was inflicted on the country. An instance of the Garissa attack, this was a problem of governance. It was not a problem of counterterrorism. This was not a problem on counterterrorism. Just to bring you up to speed with what happened during the Garissa incident. When the incident was reported in Nairobi, it took the rescue squad 24 hours to get to Garissa. Why? Because the planes had not been serviced. So this is the simple reason. It's the problem with governance. It's not a problem on terrorism. So that is the work of the government to step up in its forces. A good example is Brazil and Mexico. And this is according to Amnesty International. They say the problem with having so much terrorism in our country, the best solution is not to torture the terrorists, but the solution is to come up with interrogation practices that are going to aid in delivery of the information. A good example is FBI. FBI does not use torture on its terrorists, but so far globally, FBI is the only recommended agency when it comes to terrorism. It has tackled 99% of its corruption practices and won. Another good example of when my fellow addressed the issue of Obama. When Obama came to power, on the federal laws, my friends, let me inform you, Obama dismissed torture and said it was regrettable for Americans to use torture. But the current issue about Trump, yesterday on CNN, the title was America's Hypocrisy. This is due to the incident in Guantanamo Bay. If you look closely and follow the incident, torture is being used on those little children, on those fathers, on our mothers in Guantanamo Bay. And recently from the human rights, America is ranked as one of the countries that upholds it. But soon it is not upholding human rights. That is why America is now not being placed, according to the Geneva Convention, as a country that upholds human rights. Let me tell you people, our greatest strength is in our commitment to the rule of law and to the principle of our Constitution. My name is Joe Matthew from the Maranda High School. Thank you.
The proposers have been asked to give examples of countries that have used torture to obtain information from suspected terrorists and have actually succeeded. The opposers have been asked which other method can be used to get information from suspected terrorists other than torture, considering that interrogation thus far has not curbed terrorism. Proposer number 3, you have 3 minutes to answer the question.
I'm smiling, but it doesn't mean I'm happy. Before you stands the daughter of a patriot, a man who has felt the effect of the atrocities these terrorists have been committing, a man who is suffering in a bush in some foreign land he doesn't even know about. My name is Mito Steffi Dorothy, the daughter of a soldier representing Nyamira Girls High School, the Blues, where the sky is never the limit. The United States of America used torture on Abu Ahmed to get information on the location of Osama bin Laden in the year 2010. And we all know Osama bin Laden was apprehended and the guy died. A terrorist, one person who caused many loss of lives, one person who caused hurt. Osama bin Laden is apprehended, and if we use torture, we might catch much more. Some like Mohammed Muhammad, the leader of the Al-Shabaab troop in Kenya. This man is intelligent. This man took engineering at the Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology. A man who knows engineering is a man who can hurt us. So if we catch one of them, the weakest of them all, even the strongest of them all, we will get the information. No one goes through training for pain. Pain is pain. They might undergo hardships. Yes, you might say they are trained and they have everything, but hardship does not go to the point of being tortured such that you feel the pain and you feel the grief and everything goes wrong. My fellow debater has said that Syria and Iran use torture because there are a lot of terrorists. I agree. Who told you that our country and the world does not have many terrorists? These people are bad people. These people have links, have connections. Even the person you think innocent the most is the worst of all. You get the information from them, you torture them, prick them, even a prick. Just something so painful will help us gain the information. Let us save our country. I know many of you have parents. Help my situation. My family needs my father. He is the father figure. He is the male figure. He is the sole provider. We need him. Let us torture these people. Let us inflict fear in them. Let us save our nation. Let us save the world. Thank you and peace.
Padupuza, you have 3 minutes to respond to your question.
I have been asked to answer the question, what other methods can be used instead of torture to obtain information from suspected terrorists? We need to underline the fact that these terrorists are suspected. There is no proof of terrorism for these people allegedly terrorists. The first method we could use to curb this is hypnosis. You know of hypnosis, a heightened state of mental suggestibility. Psychologists could be used to make this happen and actually cause the people being interrogated to speak truthfully. Instead of that, polygraphs, which are truth detectors, can be used. They can be used to find out if the people are actually telling the truth or lying. We could also have surveillance to help us find information and undercover agents. Out of 600 men at the Guantanamo prison, the only ones with information are 10. But then pain is inflicted on them all. Thus hate and vendetta becomes the stool upon which terrorism stands tall. Why am I saying this? The poem elaborates how 600 detainees at the Guantanamo Bay prison were tortured despite the fact that only about 91% of them had totally no clue considering the information these people wanted to source. According to Wikipedia, an abnormally large proportion of the torture victims are either innocent people or people of cases of mistaken identity. Let's take, for instance, Khalid El-Masri, an innocent German citizen who was kidnapped and tortured simply because he was confused for Al-Qaeda chief Khalid Al-Masri. Is it his fault that his name sounds similar to the name of a terrorist? It is not. According to the Red Cross, they estimate that 80% of detainees at Abu Ghraib and Guantanamo prison are actually the wrong people. And because of that, during the Iraq War, it was the primary reason for which terrorists used to actually as propaganda to encourage their people to go and fight America. This tells us that torture, being a means of propagating propaganda, cannot be used as a means to fight terrorism. Otherwise, it will be like trying to fight cancer by actually giving cancer the conditions to thrive. Because when these people are tortured, they have the excuse to fight back. And when the New Yorker interviewed Joe Navarro, one of the FBI's top experts in questioning techniques, they discovered that, according to him, he says that only a psychopath can torture and be unaffected. You do not want people like that in your organization. They are untrustworthy and tend to have grotesque other problems themselves. Simply, we cannot fight terrorism by acting like terrorists ourselves. Thank you. I am Brian Munari.
Proposers, you have 1 minute to make a final statement.
The United States is a superpower where 62% of the population support the use of torture. We are just a third world country trying very hard to develop. Why not follow them? Why not do what they are doing so that we may reach their standards? And then, human rights. These people are inhuman. If they kill us, they also deprive us of the right to life. That is why we say we will have no mercy on them. Fire with fire, thunder with thunder, hailstorms with hailstorms. Now I'm begging you, my dear, please come, let us join together. Let us find peace for our country. Let us join hands and nurture this Kenya, this country of ours, and not even Kenya, the world. Let us be what we ought to be. Let us grow. Let us kill let us torture these human people. I'm sorry, we won't kill them. Yes, let us do what is expected of us. Thank you very much.
Opposers, you have 1 minute for a final submission.
On June 12, 2017, a report was filed on CNN, and the title was North Korea Hypocrisy. So what was the issue about North Korea hypocrisy? The issue was this. There were suspected women terrorists who had been jailed, and they were forced to eat rats and frogs. So these women were subjected to conditions of living with lice. That is, they were not provided with soap, socks, nor sanitary pads. Girls, move with me. We are speaking about sanitary pads. And this is done on our women, on suspected terrorists. To every citizen of this country, we have a greater call to duty. And when we speak of America having implemented this, which of course is not true, that is a fallacy. Torture in America is illegal. And you see, if we incline ourselves to history, then we are frozen in time. This is a call to duty. It's a call for every citizen to get out of your comfort zone so that you can fight terrorism. And when you fight terrorism, it's not implementing torture. It's being able, us as a country, to unify under our constitution provided by the law. That is Sustainable Development Goal number 16, where it says peace and stability only takes place where there is the rule of law. That is governance and the rule of law. Thank you.
Congratulations to both teams. To me, you are both strong. To Maranda, well-researched work, articulate, confident. Matthew, you did well. To the girls, you did well. I like the passion. I like the confidence. However, you failed to hinge your argument. Remember, in as much as we are talking about terrorism and torture, we are a civilized society which is hinged on constitution and human rights. So whatever your argument was, put that at the back of your mind. To Maranda, thank God for the audience who asked the question. He helped you trace if torture is not the best way to obtain information, what else? And Matthew, you did that motion a service. Thank you.
Down to the numbers. Nyamira Girls High School. The judges saw it fit to award you 69%. Let's give them a round of applause. Maranda High School. The judges awarded you 71%, making you the winners of this debate. Congratulations to both teams for a job well done.
I guess, Chris, then, we cannot fight terrorism by being terrorists ourselves. Maranda have had the better argument of the day. That's it at the Great Debaters Contest. We would like to appreciate our sponsors, Blaze by Safaricom and Brand Kenya Board, for facilitating all this. We'd also like to appreciate the principals and patrons that prepared our students for the debates. We'd like to remind our viewers the conversation still goes on across all our social media platforms. The hashtag is GDC for SDGs.
And to all our participating schools, we'd like to remind you that to implement at least one sustainable development goal such that you can impact not only your schools, but also your communities to make Kenya a better place. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, I have been your vibrant host, Chris Boru.
And I am Esperanza Kapanga. Catch you next time.